Yes, Instanet. Good information, especially the chef. I think that is such a clever idea as a housewarming gift. If I was buying a house, I would be all for it. Cook me a dinner so I don't have to cook. Great idea. Now, if anyone wants to follow along, feel free. You would just log into your own personal Matrix account. Click on the Instanet tab and I'll take it from there. Let me just connect in. All righty. Okay, we ready to learn today? All right. Okay, so today's training, well, again, my name is Marlena Hairston. Thanks again for having me out today to do a quick Instanet overview. Now, when it comes to Instanet, if you are actually taking an in-person or webinar class, this class is done in a 3-part session. So we are going to condense all 3 portions today and make it a quick overview. So there is a lot to the program, a plethora of information that you can do, how to customize it. So what I can't cover today, I definitely encourage each of you to attend one of our webinars or even in-person session. We do have a calendar online that you can just simply click on, whatever date, or we even also have pre-recorded tutorials located on REIN MLS for your leisure. So this weekend or today and tomorrow, it's going to be a rainy day. So whatever you don't catch today, you can do a little repeat refresher through the pre-recorded tutorials. Okay, so today's training should roughly be about an hour, might even spill over, just depends on any Q&A or if you need any assistance when we're following along. So we'll go ahead and get started. So to access Instanet, you can do so one of several ways. You can either by logging into your REIN MLS account, you can either click on the Instanet logo that is located right here on the right-hand side panel of your screen, or if you're actually in the Matrix program, if you're actually reviewing a property, I'm just going to simply click on any random listing underneath the Market Watch really quickly just to load a property. So when you are actually looking at a listing, you can access Instanet from one of 2 ways. From the one-line grid right here to the very far right, you should see a green little starburst. That is your transaction desk starburst. The benefit of accessing your transaction desk Instanet from this particular icon is that the system is going to pull all of that property data and load it into the Instanet program. So whether you are creating a transaction from scratch or if you are applying a template, the system is going to pull all that property data and embed it on those documents that you are adding to your transaction. So it's a cost-saving time. So the system is designed for you to let the system do the work for you, saving you time. Now, another simplistic way to access Instanet is if you're actually looking at the property details report. So right here, right above the property address, you're going to see that green starburst again, that transaction desk icon. So it's the same concept. When you're clicking on that transaction desk icon, again, it's going to take all of that property data. It's going to open up transaction desk, allowing you to create a transaction. And again, you can apply that template or you can apply your forms, what have you. Again, pulling in all that data, saving you a lot of time. Okay? Makes it easy for you, hopefully. Okay, so if you're following along, I'm going to go back a step. I'm going to go back to REIN MLS, and I am actually going to launch Instanet from utilizing this icon right here, the Instanet icon. So when I click on the Instanet icon, it's going to fully load up your agent dashboard. Okay, so your agent dashboard is your hub of transaction desk. It's simply giving you a quick snippet of what's going on in your account, where you can see any current transactions created, any forms that you have, and just any to-dos that you might need to do within the program. This is all viewable from your agent dashboard. Now, to the left-hand side of your screen, you're going to see your transaction desk menu option. So your little, I call it your gadget. Your gadget is going to, if you ever leave your agent dashboard, this little gadget is going to actually bring you back to your agent dashboard. You have your house icon, which is your transactions. This is going to be where all of your transactions are going to be housed. The icon below that is your pen icon. This is your Instanet, your AuthentiSign, your signings icon. So in this particular area, any signings that you send out for your recipients to sign, they're all going to be housed in that area. And then your forms icon. So if you quickly want to launch a standalone form, your forms icon is going to allow you to do that. Your documents box is kind of considered like DocBox if you want to bring outside documents into the Instanet transaction desk platform. So consider it like PDFs. You can basically browse and drop those documents in this particular documents box and then merge them into your documents transactions area. And then the last few icons in this menu panel is your contacts tab, your clauses, your templates, which we will kind of touch base on those momentarily. But what I do want to focus on, if you are following along, top right-hand corner, you should see your little profile settings icon. If you're following along, go ahead and tap on that and then select settings. How many of you spent some time in your settings area? Lately or ever? Never. Okay. This is a place where you want to be because this area is going to simplify your transaction desk and set it up. You basically set things up in this particular area and forget about it, and the system is automatically going to auto-populate this information on behalf of you. So I'm not going to go over all of these features, but on your own time, you'll just kind of be sure to go through, but the most important ones I am going to cover. So starting with preferences. So when you tap on preferences, you're going to see several drop-down menus. You have your user information, office information, email signature, branding. So we'll start with user information. User information, most of this information is pulled from REIN's internal database, okay? But there are fields in this particular area where you can customize. If you see information that is pre-embedded, that is outdated, needs changing, just simply inform us through using an ACC2 form and we can make that change internally. Therefore, it will populate that information in this area. But all the other additional information that you kind of want to be aware about is your NERDS ID number. So when you type in your NERDS ID number in this particular field, once again, I am not a licensed real estate professional, so again, I don't know if some of the forms that you use require your NERDS ID number. If so, the system will automatically populate that information. But not only will it populate your NERDS ID number, if you are wanting to access your, your state forms, like your NAR forms, so on and so forth, typing that NERDS ID number will allow you to access those documents in your form section. So not only will you see REIN's forms, I'm not sure if RE/MAX has also uploaded forms in Instanet. If they did, then you'll see the RE/MAX forms, but also you'll see those state forms as well. And you'll have easy access to them where you're able to type on those forms. So that's one of the benefits of adding that NERDS ID number.
All the commercial forms, you have to have your NERDS ID in there for VAR.
See, there you go. Save some time. Add that information right there. Thank you. So once you add that information in these fields, you want to be sure to click on Update. That's going to refresh the Instanet program, allowing this information now to be easily populated on any forms that you are actually drafting up in your transaction. Any questions about the preferences section so far? Okay, let's move on to the next drop-down menu. If you are following along, hit your back arrow, which should take you back a step. And now we are actually going to go ahead and select, we are going to do the program settings. So program settings actually allows you to do several things in this particular system. You can tap on that transaction settings, which will allow you to kind of override what the system has preset. So in the transaction settings, you can have your default view to either show all, or you can tap on what transactions you would like to see on your agent dashboard in your transaction sections. You can see all your transactions. you can just only see yours or all or your shared transactions. So shared, you're probably wondering, I didn't know I can share, which you can, which we'll kind of cover those particular features momentarily. But you can share your transactions amongst each other here in this office. So if you're working as a team, this particular feature will work, wonderfully, because you can actually see each other's shared documents in your own Instanet transaction account. Again, in this particular area, you can go in and change any of these default settings. If you do decide to update, make sure you click on that update function right here to fully lock in those changes that you have done. The next drop-down menu that I kind of want to populate is your Authenticide settings. So again, there's more that you can kind of click on, but we're just going to quickly skim over these. Authenticide settings, this is where your e-signs are being sent to. Let me just scroll down a tad bit. So your default sort is your last modified descending. So there is a drop-down menu where you can select how you would like your Authenticide signings to kind of be visible. So if you would like the name to be what you are seeing to be able to populate those transactions, then you can select the name. You can do the name descending or the last modified, so you can determine how you would like those list of Authenticide transactions that you've created to basically populate itself. That's it might be of benefit, it might not be of benefit. If it works well for you right now, how it's actually populating, then you don't have to make any changes. But if you do decide to make any changes, then you just simply click on update and you have your new settings defaulted to that. Any questions? Okay, so we're going to go back a step. So if you're following along, go ahead and tap on that back arrow. The next particular feature I would like for you to tap on is your clauses section. So when you are tapping on clauses, how many of you apply clauses to your transactions? It could be a default. Perfect. Well, how many of you have those clauses saved on a Word document? You copy it, you paste it. Nope. Do you manually type them in? They're in there already. Oh, amazing. Hand clap to you guys. So you're a step ahead. So wonderful. Keep using those. If you do want to make personal clauses, you can do so here in this area. So you're going to see here when you click on this section, personal clause folder, and then the office clause. So if you do have personal clauses that you use, it could even be just as simple as a sentence that you most commonly, plug into your documents. You don't want to keep typing that information over and over again. You can set it up as a clause. So when you tap on your personal clause folder, you're going to simply click on the add plus icon. And then you're going to select add new clause or add a new folder. So you can make subfolders to add additional information in it, or you can simply click on add new clause. You're going to title what that clause name is going to be. So it's just something for you to see. No one here in the office is going to see it because this is your own personalized folder. Now at this point you can go in and either type in the information, or if you have it saved somewhere, you can copy it, paste it, plug it in, and when you click on save, that information is going to be here available for you when you are actually typing on your forms. You can pull that information and plug it in. But that makes me happy to hear you guys already have some preset. Most offices do not, so I applaud you guys for that. So that is amazing to hear. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to cover in this particular section is the teams and sharing. So I mentioned a moment ago that you can share and invite your participants here in this office to actually access your transaction. That is all done through Teams and Share Group. So unfortunately, you cannot share information with another office. It's only the entities that are working out of this particular office. So you can set them up by clicking on the Add Plus icon. And when you click on the Add Plus icon, you're going to name what the group name is going to be, or the team name. Again, this is just for your references only. Excuse me. When you create that name, whoever you're sharing this particular transaction or transactions with, that's the name that they're also going to see. So I am just going to do Remax for short. I'm going to click on Save. And at this point, this is where you can decide who you're going to share your information with. So you're going to see a list of all the individuals that are working out of this specific office or whatever office you're working out of. You can come and simply put a check mark next to their name. Let's see who I want to pester today in my office. Let's see. We are going to come down a bit. Perfect, there we go. So once you have your name or names selected, then you're going to simply click on Add Members. Their name or names are going to be presented underneath Selected Teams. This is where you decide what permissions you would like to set up for them for your transaction or transactions. So you're going to see a drop-down menu here where you're going to give them permission to either have full access to your transactions. Full access means they're going to be able to see your transactions, they will be able to open up those transactions, and they will be able to work on those transactions as if you were working on those transactions. So full access, they're able to make modifications, they're able to send those documents to recipients for e-signs, so on and so forth. So that's what full means. Read means that just as that, they're able to see your transactions, but they're not able to modify them. They can just go in, open them up, review them only. The next drop-down menu is going to be Write. So if you want them just to solely be able to write, meaning make modifications on those transactions, but not able to send them out for e-signs, then that's what that particular feature will allow them to do. So once you have your selection selected, then at that point, you can just simply click on Save, and then that individual or individuals are now able to access your transaction as a Teams sharing function. If for some reason you no longer want them to have, those individuals to have access, you just simply come back to this particular same area and you just uninvite them. Now the first invitation, what will happen is once you click on Save Settings, those individuals or individual will receive a notification per se, just to inform them that they're now able to see and impersonate your account as a team sharing function. Yes, ma'am. Uh-huh.
And if I'm off on this, what's the difference between this and submitting someone like maybe it's like in an admin position in the office and having identity sharing?
Gotcha. It's very similar. So the only difference is they can do, well, it's if you give that individual full access, it's similar to do the identity sharing for your personal account. But typically when someone is setting up an assistant, they're also having them set them up not just to access Instanet, but to also access their Matrix account. So there's more rights given to them using that particular paperwork submitted to REIN. This is only giving them granting access to your Instanet transactions and not your manager REIN whole account. It is limited, yes. Uh-huh. Good question. Good question. Uh-huh.
Is there a way to just share one transaction at a time? Like if an agent is someone covering for them while they're on vacation?
So that's a good question. So this is kind of an all or nothing. Yes. Yeah, all or nothing. Yeah, so that's a good question. Any other questions? Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on. If you're following along, we're going to go ahead and hit that back arrow. And it should take us back to, I am not going to save anything. Bless you. Okay, and if you're following along, go ahead and tap on in your menu bar located on your left-hand side of your screen, that little dashboard icon should bring you back to your agent dashboard. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into creating a transaction again. So as I mentioned at the beginning is, again, you can create a transaction one of three ways, either in the Matrix system or by coming here to your agent dashboard and simply creating that transaction. So on your agent dashboard, if you are following along, all I would need you to do is locate it's a blue box that says transactions. When you click on create transaction, it's going to open up this system here. where it says create transaction. You're going to title the transaction name. Now, one thing I do want to mention about creating a title. Now, it's hit or miss, but I have had members that ran into this issue before. So, your name of your transaction, if you are sending out these particular documents through the AuthentiSign side of the program, the subject line when they receive the email will be the title that you are titling it here in the name. And I bring that up to say I have had members who, for some reason, they were just really not fond of their clients, and they titled their transaction name something not nice. It has happened. It has happened, and not realizing that that name is going to populate in several areas in Instanet. So keep in mind, you can do whatever, you can title, you can title your transaction whatever you would like. It's your transaction, but just keep in mind, before you send this information out to your clients, go back and change it, okay? Yes. So yes, like, why aren't they not answering? So you're just going to go ahead, not to say anyone here in this room is going to do it, but I have, over the course of my time with REIN and us using this program, I have heard of some of our members run into that experience, okay? So we're going to title it. This is where you can apply a template. If you are uncertain at this point if you need to apply a template, you don't have to. You can always apply the template after the fact, but this is just kind of giving you an opportunity to, if you have a template created or if the office has pre-made templates created for you, you can simply pick and choose from those templates here. The next menu option is import the data. So you can either import tax data from the realist tax data or the MLS. So we often get questions from our members, how can I populate those required documents? By plugging in the MLS number right here, it's actually going to pull, if you're working as the buy-side agent, you can go here, plug in that MLS number, and it's going to pull and import all of those required documents. So that is one way to see those particular documents, okay? So I have no favoritism here. I just went this morning and pulled a random MLS number. So if you are following along, you can key in MLS number 106-34181. And if you need me to repeat that, just let me know. Okay, so now that I have the MLS number in, you can add yourself how you are going to be representing this transaction, what your role is. So if you're going to be the listing agent, selling agent, neither, or if you're working both sides, there's a both option. So I'm going to do selling agent. The next menu option is optional. Use the wizard. How many of you are familiar with what the wizard is? Very magical person, okay? So the wizard, if you are unfamiliar with it, you can opt in or opt out of it. But if you decide to opt in, it's a 5-step process that the system will take you through, where you can go in and add any transaction dates, add your documents, add your contact information. It's just giving you the opportunity for the system to gradually take you through those features. Now, if you opt out of using the wizard's still there. The wizard is a part of your transaction. You can opt out, and the wizard will always be located on the right-hand side panel of your transaction that you've created. So those 5-step features will always be there. For training purposes today, I'm going to click on Create and use the wizard. So you can kind of see what that 5-step process entails. So this is step 1 of the wizard. But as I mentioned, when your transaction is created, the right-hand side of your panel screen, the wizard will always be there. So all these 5 steps, the details, the contacts, the forms, the documents, those features are still there. They're not going to go away. So this is step 1. So as I mentioned, because we use the MLS number, it's going to import all of that MLS data. So again, whether you are importing the MLS using the MLS number from that little pop-up screen, or if you're using those green starbursts that I was mentioning in Matrix, it's going to plug in all of that listing data for you, saving you a lot of time. But as you can see here, there's still many blank fields that you would need to fill out information. So you can decide if the information needs to be filled out or not needed. So when you click on Next, it's going to take you to step 2, which is your transaction dates. So your transaction dates, you might not have any at that stage, and that's okay. you can bypass it. If you do have transaction dates you need to enter, you can plug them in at this particular stage.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am?
After you've imported with that MLS number,
Mhm.
do you want to go in there and remove that MLS number?
Nope. So basically, that MLS number, importing it in is just telling transaction desk in that transaction that you are just pulling in that data for that specific transaction that you're creating. So no, there's no need to remove it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is this for if you're on the buyer side?
Yes. So I'm doing this as the buy side. If you're doing, I see your question. If you're doing it on the list side, so great thing that you're bringing up, and I'm glad you brought up the list side. So REIN doesn't encourage, if you're doing a newly fresh listing, importing that MLS data. Can you do it? Yes, you can. But you have to take very good steps in looking that you are removing unnecessary information, and we have members that utilize that feature for that specific purpose, and we have had members run into violations, whether it's going to pull everything, the required documents, all the, whether you were the previous listing agent or someone else was, it's going to pull everything over. So if you miss something, the biggest one that we tend to see is the required documents. They're not realizing that those documents are being pulled over. So those documents are there, but also their new documents are there, and they're being deemed for those, outdated documents. So yes, be mindful. Not to say you can't do it, you can, but just be very mindful that you're re-going over and combing through your information. Great question. Okay, so step 3 is your contacts. As you can see, because I pulled that MLS number in, all of that the listing broker's information, the listing agent's information is there. Bless you. The seller's information and the selling broker's information, all that information is being pulled over for you. At this stage, all you need to do is going to add who is going to be a part of this transaction, your buyer's information. If there's a lender that's going to be a part of this transaction, you can add them at this stage. So anyone who's going to be a part, you can add them here. So for me, I am going to add my buyer. He brings me lots of good business. So when you click on the Add Plus icon, you have several menu options. You can select Create a New Transaction Contact, or you can select Add an Existing Contact, Add Yourself, or Add from your Google Contact List. If you're clicking on Add Existing Contact, when you select that, the system is going to browse your Instanet address book, which your address book is, let me kind of move my cursor over. This is your address contacts book. So if you've pre-added them to this particular area, then yes, you can select Add Existing Contact. But if you have not done that, then you're going to select Create a New Transaction. But for me, my contact is already there. Mr. SpongeBob SquarePants. Let's see. So there we go. He brings me lots of good business. So I'm going to go ahead and select him, and I'm going to select Add. At that point, you're going to go in and then just recheck that all that information for that contact is still accurate. So you have 2 tabs. You have your General and then your Address tab. Under General, you just want to ensure that all the information is still accurate, but you can also make changes at this stage. Maybe their name changed at some point, maybe their email changed. You can make modifications. And then you're going to get to a few fields at the very bottom where it says legal name, preferred signature, preferred initials. Legal name is what their legal name is going to be. So if SpongeBob goes by Bob SquarePants, but his legal name is SpongeBob SquarePants, that's where you're going to put that name right here in the legal name field, okay? And that's the name that is going to trump what you're seeing in the above field and what will be added to your contracts. Preferred signature. So if they would like to sign a specific way, or maybe it's an LLC or, something, this is where you would go ahead and type in the preferred signature name in that particular field, and then the preferred initials. And when they receive the documents to e-sign, that is how the system is going to auto-populate their signatures and initials. Okay, makes sense? All right, perfect. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
And so we have to kind of finagle the system so the company name pops up because the company's buying
Right.
But the specific, like, manager or president is signing it.
Sign it. So that's where you would go ahead and do the preferred signature. So you would put their name. It's kind of hard to see. I'm going to kind of move my cursor. So where it says preferred signature right here and preferred initials. So you would put their name, the company's name, in the legal name. But whoever's signing it, then you would put preferred signature and then their name. So it's a...
Because what I've been doing is putting the company name everywhere and then putting the person signing.
Well, you can do that too. Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah, you can do that too. The easiest way would be, just add them to that preferred signature and preferred initials section. Yep, great question. Okay, now at this step, we're going to go ahead and save this particular page because I've, made no changes to my contacts. But SpongeBob, I did see I misspelled his name. So you're going to see here SpongeBob is now added. And at this point, I can move on to step 3 or step 4. If there's no other additional contacts you have to add, you can move along to step 4. Step 4 is your forms. Now, at the beginning of setting this up, if you've decided to add templates, all of the forms that were in that template that you've selected, you will see a list in this particular section. Because I did not add a template, you're not going to see that particular information here. So at this point, you can simply click on the Add Plus icon, and you can browse for where your forms are located. If RE/MAX has uploaded their forms, you're going to see a file folder that says RE/MAX or whatever they decided to name the folder. If you typed in your NERDS number and you want to access those NERDS, your NAR forms, you're going to see a folder for that as well. So you can either simply click on one of those folders to fully browse for your documents, or you can do a little cheat and use the search bar located at the top far right corner. If you physically know the form name, you can simply type in that form name. If you know the abbreviated form name, you can type in the abbreviated name. It will pull up all documents. So I'm just going to type in purchase. And when I type in purchase, it's going to bring up any form that has that particular word in it. And I can simply browse for it. So my purchase agreement is right here. I'm going to simply click on that, select it, and add. And it's going to now add this particular document to this transaction. Yes, ma'am?
Just a quick question.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry. So I had noticed in the past, whenever there are red line forms that are going to change, and I know we're coming up on that. In the past, if we had a template, we had to manually go in there and change it. I have noticed recently, it seems like they're automatically updated.
So I noticed that too, and I have not fully received confirmation on if that is going to be the trend where the system is going to automatically auto-populate. So I would recommend still do the due diligence of going back to that template and ensuring that it's removed out of your template folder. You should see where there should be some verbiage that says this form is no longer available or in use. I don't know what the actual terminology is, but I would recommend, I don't know if that was a glitch with the system, but I am in talks with my product support department just to fully verify on that. But I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, but still, I would still do your due diligence and just go make sure that it's removed from your folder. Great question. Okay, so last and final step of this wizard. This is your documents. So because I use that MLS number as the buy side agent, it's going to pull all of those required documents over. And at this stage, I can pull in other documents that I would like to be a part of this transaction. Any outside document that's saved on your computer, on a thumb drive, you can simply click on that Add Plus icon and you can browse for it. Just like you would browse any document, you can browse for it, select it, it will merge it here. Now in this particular section, once your transaction is created and you are either looking at the form and you're wanting to type on the form or sending these documents over for e-signing purposes, keep in mind anything that you add to your documents folder is considered just a viewable document. You're not going to be able to type on the form. It's simply going to be like a PDF document you cannot type on. You can mark it up using the markup tools, which I'll show you how to do. So you can add text boxes, you can drag and drop signature lines, initial lines on the forms, but you cannot physically type on it, okay? Any questions before we finalize this little wizard? Okay, so if you're following along, go ahead and tap on Done. And at this stage, the transaction is now created. So what we're looking at is a partially completed transaction. So there's still a lot more that I need to do. I would need to go in and fully type information on my forms. If I need to send these documents out for e-signing purposes, so still a little bit more I need to do. But as I was mentioning a moment ago, that wizard, once your transaction is created, the far right-hand corner, all those menu options are there, plus some additional ones. So if you've skipped steps in the wizard, or if you've opted out, all you have to do is come here to the right-hand side of your screen and click on any one of those menu options and perform the task that you're selecting, okay? Before we fully jump on filling out the forms, one thing I do want to mention is your transaction dashboard menu. We call it a snowman. It's 3 little dots stacked up on top of each other. So if you tap on that, few different options that you can select here in this particular area. So if you fail to add the MLS number at the start of creating your transaction, you can do so here in this area by selecting the import data. When you click on import data, you can simply select what source you are wanting to pull listing information from, either from REIN or from realist tax data. So it's not a lost cause if you forgot to do it at the very start of creating your transaction. You can still do so in this particular stage. When you go back to your menu settings, one thing that I do want to notate, if you want to actually, I think I just learned something myself today. The question that you had, are you able to do individual transactions? Let's test something out. So in the team share, just want to see if it will do. I'm going to test something out. If this works, I won't know until I get back to the office to see if they've received the emails. But if this works, then you would be able to do an actual specific transaction only instead of your whole account. So I'm going to let you know. If this works, then I will email you, Amanda, just to let you know if it works. So I'm going to cross fingers at that. That's how that feature is going to work. So there we go. So let's go ahead and jump into the forms section. So on your transaction dashboard, if you're following along, underneath the forms box, you're just going to select that standard purchase agreement, and it should open up that specific form. So again, because we pulled in that MLS information, most of the data that is going to be plugged in for you, so you don't have to worry about plugging in, most of the listing information because it should be there. God bless you. So as you can see, there's still additional fields that you would need to necessarily go ahead and type in. So this is where you would go through, scroll through all your forms, type in any necessary information on your forms. But when it comes to your forms, each form at the top of the form has some menu settings that you can apply certain features and functions to your forms when you're filling them out. So starting with the file drop-down menu, when you hover over that, you can either save the content, which I recommend as you're typing along. I would recommend to just manually go in and save this information periodically. You can also save it as a PDF. So if you want to save this information as a PDF and save it somewhere on your computer, this is where you would do so by clicking on Save as PDF. The further you scroll down is you're going to see an erase feature. Use this very cautiously because when you hover over erase, you can erase all pages or the current page. So if by mistake you clicked on all pages, all of the data that you've either typed out or pulled into on the forms will basically delete. It's going to remove it. So, just be very mindful, when using those two prompts. The next menu option is watermark. So you can add a watermark to these documents. You can add a watermark that says confidential or draft. So if you do confidential, this is what it will look like. It's a very faint wording text that says confidential. And you're probably wondering, why would ever I want to do that? So We have heard, unfortunately it happens, there's a lot of, potential scammers out there where they've received blank documents from a real estate professional. They took those documents and they themselves posed as a real estate agent, therefore creating transactions, scamming, individuals. So if someone ever asks to receive blank documents from you, I would always recommend to add these watermarks to the documents before handing it over to them. Now, is there software out there that they can use to remove this information? The answer is yes. It takes them a little longer to do so, so make the work for them a little harder. But I always recommend to add either confidential or draft on any blank document that you are handing out to someone. Okay? Any questions about this watermark? If you decide to add it, when you're ready to remove it, you're just simply going to go back to File, hover back over Watermark, and select the menu option that says Remove. Okay? Going back to File, the next few menu options, you can print out these particular forms or form or a page, or you can also send out these forms. So you can send it out via email. You're probably wondering who faxes anymore. We all still fax, some of us. So there is a fax feature as well, so you can actually fax internally within your transaction desk, which is a pretty cool feature. Okay, the next menu option is your fonts. You can actually change your font style. So you have an option, it's only one option to change your font style, but you can also change your font color. This really helps when you're typing up the forms to kind of determine what you are typing versus the pre-printed information on the documents. Now, you can also, whatever color you decide to choose, if it's red, blue, or the gray color, if you're sending this out via e-signature, those individuals will also see that color. Now, when it comes to printing, if they are not connected to a color printer, it's going to convert it to a light, faint gray. So just be mindful if you can send it, but let them know if they're printing it to change their, color options when printing out these documents. Okay, any questions about that? Yes, ma'am.
How do we permanently change that? Because sometimes when I go, anytime I start a new document, I thought I went to settings, whatever, it doesn't save. And there's sometimes that if there's a lock on it, I have to click the lock for it to then change the color. But how do I make it happen? So then there's parts of my contract that don't let me change it at all. So my contract comes out blue and black.
It should automatically, once you select it.
Yeah, so when it's blue and then the part that's black, it would be like auto-populated. So like if I've typed residential property before, I'll like erase the Y and retype it and it'll go back blue.
So mine is like,
It's not doing.
so if the sale price is 305 and I type in 305,000, the wording comes out black, but the numbers come
I
out
think
blue.
is that normal?
But you have it, did you auto-populate or?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I put the MLS number in and everything but I'm saying, like, if I type in the sale price, half of it comes out black, the other half comes out blue.
There might be, I'll have to check with my product support department on that. There might be an issue. Let me see. Color font. I'll check on that. I've never run into that issue before, so unfortunately I don't have an answer for that, but I'll definitely check on that. Okay, so going back over to font, the last menu option here is you can change the text size. So you have a few different, you have an 11 point and 12 point. So anything that you have typed or has been auto-populated and pulled over, that is the text that is going to change in size. But the pre-printed text is going to be the regular, format. So just kind of keep that in mind. The next menu option moving over is clauses. So this is where you can utilize your clause, which as we move along with training, I'll show you how to, apply those clauses if you've never done so. And then you have your transaction form. So if you want to jump from page to or form to form, you can click on your transaction forms and you can kind of jump around and maneuver around if you don't want to use your scroll bar. Same thing with your page number. So you can hover over your page number and you can quickly jump to any page that is a part of this transaction, or you can simply use your mouse's roll bar to move up and down on the page numbers. So you can decide what is user-friendly for you. Okay, so markups. We're going to go ahead and jump into markups. So how many of you are familiar with the markups and how to use them? Okay, one or two? Okay, so this is going to be some great information for you. Utilizing your markups. When you hover over your markups, it looks like a little paint palette icon. So you can apply strikeouts, a line. A line is essentially where if you want to, the strikeout is a line-by-line strikeout. The line item one is where if you want to do crossbar strikeouts. Highlight is self-explanatory if you want to highlight any of this verbiage on your forms. Redact if you kind of want to exclude information. And then annotate is if you want to apply text boxes on your forms. This is the area where you can go ahead and do that. So when it comes to the strikeout, if you're following along, you can go ahead and select that first menu option, strikeout. And once you select it, you can come on your form and left click at the beginning of where you would like to create that strikeout. Left click, holding down your left click on your mouse or your laptop's pad, and you can drag your cursor right or left depending on the direction you're going, and the system is going to populate a strikeout line, okay? But we can go a step further. This strikeout line can be modified. So you can take your cursor, hover anywhere on that strikeout line, right click on it, and the system is going to populate some settings for that strikeout line. You can change the strikeout line size. Right now we're at a 2-point. You can click on that drop down menu and you can go all the way up to 6, making the line a little bit thicker, okay? You can also change the strikeout line color. Right now we're seeing blue on the screen. You can change it to red. You can change it to green. You can change it to yellow, gray, or black, whichever color you like. Lots of choices to pick from. Now, if you made a mistake and you were not supposed to create a strikeout line for this particular form, then you can simply click on delete. The system will remove that strikeout line, okay? Now, the next menu option in line is your line. So your line is where you can make crossbars. So the first menu option, unfortunately, the strikeout, you have to go line by line. So you got to create one line, go back to markup, click on strikeout, select it, go back and do each line, okay? It's time consuming. So if you're needing to strike out an entire paragraph, the easiest thing to now do is do the line item feature. By clicking on line, taking your cursor at the starting point of where you're wanting to create that strikeout, left clicking and drag your cursor over that verbiage, and you're going to see the system creating that one line. To create that crossbar, you can go back up to markups, select line one more time, go in the opposite direction, left click, drag your cursor over, and now you've just now created a strikeout for the entire paragraph. Just like the strikeout, these lines also have setting options, but you have to do it to each line. By right clicking on it, you still have the option to change the size and also the color, or even delete if you made an error. Okay, any questions about those strikeouts or lines? Okay, next item underneath markups is the highlighter. So just like a strikeout, the line, it operates the same. You're basically wanting to create this information and applying it to your transaction form. Once you've selected highlighter, you're going to left click with your mouse, and you're going to drag your cursor over the area that you would like to highlight, okay? The further out you drag it, the larger the highlighted capture area is going to be. Once you are done, you can release. Your area is now highlighted. Just like those lines we created, this highlighter also has settings. When you right click anywhere in that highlighted area, it allows you to change your highlighter color to blue, red, green, yellow, gray, or black, okay? But it also allows you to change the depth in color of that highlighted field. So right now we're at a 10%. If you want to fully highlight it to where the verbiage is not visible, you can go all the way 100%. Okay? So that's what your highlighter field is going to look like. Any questions about the highlighted area? Okay, moving back up to markups, redact. Now, I have done training, and I've done training where there was an attorney in the room, and they quickly jumped in when I covered this particular area, and they told the individuals attending not to use it. Again, I'm not a licensed real estate professional. I don't know if you should or should not use it. I just know that we have this feature for you to use, okay? So redact will basically put asterisks on the form's verbiage, okay? So if that's something that you are wanting to do, you can select redact. Again, take your cursor over the starting point of where you would like to create that redacted information and drag your cursor over the verbiage, sentence, word, number, whatever you're wanting to redact. The system is going to apply those asterisks. You can still see very faintly the pre-printed verbiage on the contract, but again, it's going to apply those asterisks, okay? And then the last feature underneath markups is annotate. So if you need to add text boxes, because we redacted, we highlighted, we struck out this item underneath item number 2, we need to tell, you know, our potential client maybe the reason why we've done this. So you can click on annotate to add a text box to the form. So once you select that menu option, you can take your cursor, left click anywhere on your form where you're wanting to apply that text box, left click, holding down your left click, and drag your cursor to create that text box. Once you've created that text box, you're going to see a cursor blinking in that window, and then now you can type in whatever notes you're needing to relay to your potential client, okay? So I'm just going to put testing only, just so you can see. Now, once you have this text box and all these markups, when you get to Authenticign, you might need those individuals to sign an initial off on this information. You can drag and drop those items onto this particular document for them to recognize this particular area. Any questions about markups? Okay, so that is it. I hope this feature for markups comes in handy when you are utilizing this particular program. The last area we're going to finalize in is in Authenticign. So if you're following along, go ahead and tap on the little pen icon located at the top right-hand corner. We're now going to leave Transaction Desk and we're going to be routed into Authenticign. So this is where you would formulate your transaction to go ahead and get these documents out for signing purposes for your potential signers. It's a very easy process. And it's based on particular steps. So the right-hand side of your panel, you have your signers box, your docs, your tools, layouts, and options. So starting with signers, you're going to determine who is going to receive these documents. So by clicking on Add Participants, you can browse who you are wanting to add as a participant signer. So you can do yourself, add a new, add from transaction, add from contacts. If you select Add from Contacts, it's going to show a list of all those individuals that you've added to your transaction. So there goes SpongeBob right there. I'm going to add SpongeBob, and I'm going to opt in having them utilize this drop-down menu. You can add them as a remote signer, a reviewer, or just to CC them on this particular e-sign email thread. So remote signer means that they're going to receive these documents remotely for signing purposes. Reviewer means that there are no signings that needs to be had by that individual. You just want them to be a part of this email signing thread just to receive the documents. And CC is similar to reviewer. It just means that they're going to be CC'd on this email thread and they're going to receive any notification, any transaction once it's completed, and any signing notifications along the way, okay? I'm going to keep them as remote signer, and then I'm going to select, and it's going to add SpongeBob as a participant signer. Now, if you are adding multiple signers to your transaction, one thing I do want to notate is where it says Set Signing Order, there is a toggle box to either change it to on or off. Set signing order allows, if you have multiple signers, to send the documents in a signing order. It means that the documents are not going to go out to all parties at once. If you turn that slider on, if you have 4 parties to sign on these documents, whoever's first on the list, so if SpongeBob is first on the list, if Sandy Bottoms is second on the list, and if the lender is third, and so on and so forth, that is the order format that it's going to be emailed out to the individuals. So if SpongeBob is holding up the transaction, forgetting to sign, it's not going to move on to signer number 2 until signer number 1 completes and signs. Make sense? Okay. So once you have your signers added, you can click on Docs to see if there's any additional documents that you are needing to send out to your signers. You can add additional outside documents if you forgot. You can even specify what pages are wanting that you're needing to send out to your signers. So you can click on this little arrow next, God bless you, next to the standard purchase agreement name, and it's going to open up this window. From this box, you're going to see all page numbers for this particular form. If there's specific forms that you do not want to send out, this is your opportunity to delete those forms, or those pages, I should say. Bottom right corner of each form, you have these 3 little dots. You can click on those dots, and it's going to, let me scroll up a little bit just so you can see. This is your page settings. You can rotate the forms. So if you're looking at a form that kind of came in upside down, you can rotate that form. If it's a page number that you are not needing, then you can delete that form, or that page, I should say. I keep saying form, my apologies. You can delete that page by simply clicking on delete, and then that page is now gone. You can also reorder the pages. So if you don't like the order format that the page numbers are set in, you can come here, left click at the bottom right next to the page number, and you can drag and drop and reorder your page numbers, okay, to your liking. So again, there's lots of little features and tips that you can, kind of do along the way. If there's nothing, if you like the way the page and forms are set up, then there's nothing additional that you need to do. If there's some additional markups that you need to add to the forms, you can still do so in Authentisign. So the next menu option is Tools. Under Tools, you can add additional signature lines, additional initial lines. You can add additional text boxes, check mark boxes to have your signers click on to say they're either opting in or opting out of particular features on the forms. That could all be done in this particular Tools area. So starting with the signer actions. So underneath signer actions, you can drag and drop where it says sign here or initials. If you're wanting to drag and auto-populate those signature lines on the forms, you can left click and drag and drop the signer's sign here on the form. If you're wanting to add additional initial lines, similar, you're going to left click and drag and drop that initial line. Now, if there are radio choices that you are wanting to add to the particular document, let me kind of scroll down a little bit. Let's see if I can see an option. There we go. Does not. So item C on this particular form. If you want to add radio choices, you can select that by left clicking, and you can drag and place it on the does. It's going to add another little radio choice, and you can move that one right over to the does not. So when they receive these documents, they're going to be required to check one or the other, okay? So at that point, they no longer have to print it out and manually, check those items in. You can just drag that information over. Now, when it comes to the markups, let me scroll down a little bit. If there are strikeout lines or highlighted areas that you forgot to add to the forms, under markup, you can still do so by clicking on Add Text Box. There's your highlighter, and it's the same concept as you did in the transaction desk. You're basically going to select that feature, take your cursor over to the form, highlight, strike out, whatever you like to do. You also even have a freehand feature, you have to have a very steady hand, or if you have a stylist. But when you click on freehand, you can freehand information on the form. So I'm going to see if I can make this look nice. Just going to write in the word test. Again, you have to have a steady hand, so there you go. So you have that menu option to add. That feature is not available in the transaction desk. God bless you. So that is it when it comes to the markups. Any questions about this feature? Okay, that is it when it comes to the Authenticide side of things. Again, there's other features that you can take advantage of. We're just kind of scaling this down into a quick overview today. But when you are ready to send this information out to your signers, you're simply going to click on Next. It's going to say Processing. You can set up expiration and reminders. So if you decide to set this up, your signers will receive an expiration notice and reminders of when this expiration is going to take effect for your transaction. If you have multiple signers, you can click on Customize Invites, and you can create a message for each individual signer. That really works well if maybe one signer has some confidential information and you don't want all parties to receive the same information. You can go in and customize an individual email message per signer. But again, once you come, one thing I do want to mention, your subject line, do you see right here where there is no subject line? If you do not come to customize and type in a specific subject line, bless you, it's going to pull your name of your transaction. So remember I was mentioning at the beginning of training, we've had some known members where they put something not nice as their title of their transaction, and it came over as their subject line for the recipient signer. Now, if you don't come to customize and change and make a change right here, then it's just going to pull the transaction name, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. Any questions before we fully, officially wrap up today?
I wanted to just mention something that Shannon taught me like probably 2 months ago.
Okay.
I think up until that point I was like doing it a really long way. But sometimes like when you send something off for signatures and you've done it all and they have a change and you're like, I gotta do all of that again. I don't know why I didn't think about it, but she said just to duplicate the signing
Yes.
and then you can make the change and resend it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if anybody else did it the long way and went back in and like
Recreated it.
but
I actually reset it and then make my changes.
okay. Yeah, because I usually annotate in everything in the signing. You know what I mean? Instead of annotating on the forms, I like go through annotate on the signings and
got
check
it.
boxes on that. So she was like, "Why are you having to start over?" And I was like, "I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Just duplicate the signing and then change what you want and then resend."
When it comes to even tracking your signings, when you go back into your transaction desk and you click on your little pen icon, this is where all your signings are going to be stored. So once you've sent out a signing and you kind of want to track, especially if there's even if it's one signer, but if it's multiple signers, number one, you can open it up and it's going to give you kind of a quick snippet. It's going to tell you, number one, if it says draft, it means that you're still working on it. You have not sent it out to anyone for signing purposes. If it says sent, it means obviously it sent it out to someone. So you can come here and kind of keep track. It'll tell you how many signers have completed their transaction. When you fully open it up, and you open up that signing form, yes, you can come here and you can kind of, just do a little bit more to it. If you need to resend it, you can just open it up, click on next, make your changes, and then just kind of send it back out. So, yes, ma'am.
If you back up to the previous page you were on,
Let
I thought it might be worth mentioning something I just discovered. I saved a transaction and I was just like, where did it go? When I came back and I couldn't find it. So I didn't know if everybody knows about the little funnel thing.
Your filters. So what she is mentioning is your filters. So when you click on your filters icon, you can kind of apply what signings you would like to see in the bulk of your signings dashboard. So anything that's checked basically is telling you what you are physically seeing. If you see something that's unchecked, you have your draft, your sent, your complete, all of that is there. So you can kind of, your expireds, anything that's rejected, it's all going to, you can decide what you would like to see populate. Yep, that's a good question when it comes to the funnel. You can also sort. So when you click on sort, you can select how you are wanting these particular signings to be visible to your eye liking. So you can have them sorted by name, how you are naming your signing. If it's been last modified, so you will see any last modified, or the status. So you can actually go in and close the status of your signing. If it's closed or if it's still in progress, you can do all of that underneath more options. So you can come here and underneath signing details. I'm not sure if the office is set up to delete their signings or not. If so, your delete function is going to be here. There are some offices that don't have that option, if you're wondering why I mentioned that. So if the office is equipped to delete, if you kind of want to free up space and kind of clean up your signing section, you can go in and do that underneath the 3 dots section. So any other questions? Okay, well, as I mentioned in the start of training, again, quick overview today. There's lots more that you can do with this particular program. I've just touched, we just touched the tipping point of it. But if you are available, our training department, they host a 3-part session of this. They really go in more detail where you can go in. If you don't have time to sit on one of those classes, then they're also pre-recorded, so you can go in, stop, pause, especially with the rain coming in this evening. If you need to, watch a little quick tutorial, you can do so this evening. But there's so much you can do with this particular program just to kind of customize it to your liking, just to make your job, because you are busy. Your schedules are chock full, day in, day out, 7 days a week, and you want to make things, simplistic for you. So definitely let the system do the bulk of the work for you. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Hopefully you guys will be back at 2.